My name is Stephen Brick. I'm an Amsoil dealer. Been using Amsoil since at least 2001. It was the first time I used Amsoil on a fairly large scale. I might have used it prior to that, but my memory kind of escapes me. It's been about 15 years since I started using Amsoil. It dawned on me early on that lubricants were not the place to cut corners with equipment. I mean, if you're gonna cut corners, cut corners someplace else. You know what I'm saying? So lubrication, in my mind, is, as long as you weren't talking about a lot of money in terms of the extra value that you get, it just didn't make any sense whatsoever to cut corners in lubrication in any piece of equipment that's worth owning. So personally, I try to buy the best equipment that I can afford. Like I run a Honda generator, run a Honda pressure washer, Honda powered pressure washer. I really love Honda products. Honda engines, I've had quite a few of them. Everything from motorcycles, motorized bicycles, what else? Honda generator, Honda power washer that I mentioned. And my favorite vehicles that I've ever owned were Asian vehicles, like my Toyota pickup. I have had two Toyota pickups, a brand new one and a 1-ton. It was a couple years old when I bought it. Those vehicles ran flawlessly. I really like things that work well, that never let me down. And that's the way I feel about Amsoil. It's just not something that I have to worry about. I don't have to think about, is the quality up to snuff? And is it slowly undermining, my lifestyle? So, just to go back a little bit and share basically the first experience that I remember using Amsoil was in 2001. And I was a commercial truck driver. I was a lease operator for Busky Lines. And I had a 12-liter Detroit in my condo classic Freightliner. I put Amsoil in the rear differentials and the engine, and I also had the bypass oil filtration system, the dual remote bypass oil filtration system that used the Amsoil's largest filters, which filtered the diesel oil down to 3 microns every 45 minutes. And I remember at 36,000 miles on the Amsoil, I could pull the dipstick on the diesel truck, and you could still see the dipstick through the oil. And that was being filtered at 3 microns. It gives you an idea what 3 microns will remove. If you still have 3 micron filtration, removes all that soot that's in diesel oil, which typically is there as soon as you turn the engine back over after you've changed the oil. Your oil will be black in most diesel engines. So that was really significant to me, to have clean oil at 36,000 miles on an oil change. I was trying to think of what other experiences I've had. I ran Amsoil in an older pickup truck. It was an 81 Chevy that I had inherited basically from an aunt. And I lost the front main seal, rubber seal, in that older truck. The engine had been rebuilt, but who knows? Maybe the seal could have been new, but the actual, I know there's like a ring or something there that the seal rides on, and that's probably what enabled the seal to give way, was where it was mounted to. But I'm not a mechanic, so I don't know exactly how that works. I was just going based on what I was told when the front seal got replaced after it went out on me on the freeway, and I lost all my oil. The amazing thing was, when the truck was towed to the shop, they just simply put on a speedy sleeve on the front shaft that your engine fan connects to, and they put on a new put on a new front main seal, and they filled the engine up with oil, and it ran flawlessly, as if nothing had ever happened. So that was pretty amazing, because the engine had basically lost all of its oil on the freeway, and I pushed it a mile, pushed it harder than I should have, just trying to get off the interstate to make a phone call. It was before sunrise, and really didn't want to be stranded on the freeway in the dark, and I knew where this next exit was, so I was trying to make it to that exit. It's probably a stupid thing to do, but Amsoil saved me there. And since then, I bought a test machine to test synthetic lubricants back when I was a commercial truck driver, and I tested all kinds of lubricants with a Falex-Timken bearing tester. This is not the tester that's referred to as the one-arm bandit. This is the one that uses the 1-pound weights. You've probably seen it on YouTube. You can easily find it and see people using it. It's a very scientific test. If you operate the machine consistently every time, it gives you a good indication of what sort of protection is being provided by a certain lubricant. So the best oils that I tested were Amsoil, and the next best was like Valvoline's Full Sin Power. It did not perform as well as Amsoil's best oil, their signature series. And then there's other lubricant additives that are extreme pressure type additives for lubrication that do perform better on that particular machine than even Amsoil. But the significant thing here to realize is those extreme pressures do not exist in an internal combustion engine, especially your daily drivers. Maybe it's not even really possible the way the engine's designed. It's not even really possible in some sort of an advanced alcohol top fuel racing engine. You're not going to have those crazy extreme pressures like those machines replicate. So anyway, this is food for thought. So the best oils on those machines, like I said, was Amsoil, and there are some other additives on the market that do seem, I mean, based on what you see on that machine, do better than even Amsoil's best oil. So I'm just kind of rehashing, what I went over. Since then, I have chosen to use Amsoil in everything I've owned. More recently, since 2011, I had a 96 Mazda minivan. It was four-wheel drive, and I converted that to Amsoil. Amsoil engine oil, Amsoil transmission fluid with the new Wix filter, differential fluid, severe gear from Amsoil, and I put 33,000 miles on a vehicle that had 156,000 miles on it when I bought it, and I pulled a trailer for the entire 4 years, small equipment trailer. And I was told shortly after I got that vehicle and started pulling the trailer that my transmission would not last. Well, I put 33,000 miles on it and never had any trouble whatsoever with the transmission. It was as strong the day I sold it as it was the day I got it. It was actually stronger. It was actually running better after I got it on Amsoil. Same is true with the van I have now. It wasn't shifting very smooth when I got it. It was shifting, but it wasn't consistently smooth the way it should be. And occasionally I had it a couple of times before I switched it to Amsoil. The van I have now, which is the 2002 Chevy Express, one ton, the 3500, the big van, with the 4L80E 4-speed. It would try to take off in second gear a couple of times before I actually got the transmission fluid flushed and replaced with Amsoil's signature series transmission fluid and a new Wix filter. After that, after the flush, it's just run flawlessly, as good as it would brand new. And I've taken it on a 1,500 mile round trip, and I had no issues, none. And I was in snow and driving winds and rain and blowing rain, mountains, a lot of fairly aggressive driving in bad conditions, and I never had any problems. And I pulled the trailer. I was pulling the same trailer I pulled with the Mazda man. So time and time again, Amsoil has just made my life super comfortable. And then I've gone on to learn more about Amsoil. I've heard other stories as far back as the late 70s where companies had switched over to Amsoil, and they reported that they had reduced their maintenance costs by 75% in their fleets of equipment. Yeah, and if that doesn't, hit home with someone, I really don't know what does. I do understand the mentality of some people who get rid of their vehicles fairly quickly, and their idea of getting ahead in life is, putting as little care into the things they own as possible, and let somebody else deal with the neglect. I personally don't live my life that way. I'm a big believer in karma. For example, the van that I just sold a young man for a little bit more than what I actually paid for it 4 years prior. It was in better condition when I got it was in better condition when I sold it than when I got it. I put quite a few new components on it, and I'd taken really good care of it with the lubricants. And I felt really good when I sold the vehicle to somebody who needed a good, older, dependable vehicle for their family, and that was what they could afford. It made me feel really good to know that I handed somebody something that was something they could depend on. It would take care of their family. It didn't cost them a fortune. I got my money out of it. So I actually added value to the vehicle. In many ways, you can consider turning a liability into an asset. Instead of costing you tons of money to keep it going, it takes care of you. And that's the way I look at investing in Amsoil. It makes me feel good when I know that I'm representing the best, and that's what Amsoil is the best. They don't cut corners. They don't try to save a penny here and there to sacrifice quality. And that's really what it boils down to, is you're talking about a few bucks in quality that turns into thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars worth of value in the long run. So my dealer number, if you appreciate the things I've shared with you today, my dealer number for Amsoil is 511-3474. Again, that's 511-3474. And my website address is moneysaving.oils.com. That's MONEY saving, SAVING, oils, OILS.com. moneysaving.oils.com. That'll take you to the Amsoil website, which enables you to order products for your vehicle. There's a vehicle lookup chart there, or guide, and as well as a installer locator. If you want somebody else to install your Amsoil, if you want to buy your Amsoil there, or find somebody that installs it, there's a guide there that'll enable you to find somebody who will install Amsoil for you, possibly in your area according to your zip code. If you'd like to be an Amsoil dealer, it's really not that hard. There is a bit of a learning curve because there's a lot of technical things to learn about Amsoil and the way to fill out forms, and the customer service, I must admit, is really good at Amsoil. I've called the technical line, I've called regional sales, like asking them about bulk delivery. I've had clients ask about that, and just application help from the ladies or the people. It's not always women. People in the order line or the registration line. It's always been very helpful and very professional. It's getting better. I noticed that starting this year, 2016, on the 4th of January, they'll now have the Amsoil University online. So it's not going to be an event that you actually have to physically attend like it has been in the prior years. So I'm looking forward to that, and I'm sure that's going to be a blessing to a lot of new dealers who are interested in getting trained faster and more efficiently. Thanks for your time. If you have any questions, you're welcome to call me. My number is 612-598-0163. Again, my number is 612-598-0163. One final note. Recently I learned that Amsoil's two-stroke power equipment oil is, most people know it's rated at 100 to 1. which satisfies the protection requirements for all equipment across the board, even if it ran on 50 to 1 or 32 to 1 or some other ratio like that. Amsoil's Sabre Professional 2-cycle oil is rated at 100 to 1. But what I didn't know for all these years, I knew they had 100 to 1 oil, and I, like probably many other people, had wondered, like, does it really protect? It's like half the oil of what most other two-stroke oils recommend, or the equipment recommends. And then I learned that actually Amsoil's 2-cycle, the Sabre Professional, is so effective that they could actually run that oil at 300 to 1 fuel to oil mix ratio, and it would still protect the engine at 300 to 1. So the reason they say 100 to 1 is simply because that's so much less oil than 50 to 1. It's hard for them to get a lot of consumers to have faith and believe in that amount of oil protecting a two-stroke engine. The truth is, they could use a third of that. They could use it at 300 to 1. So just another tidbit of technical information on Amsoil. There's other things, amazing things like the grease, the compressor oil, how much longer the compressor oil will last compared to conventional oil. We're talking 6, 7, 8 times longer than traditional conventional compressor oil. With the grease, we're talking about thousands of pounds of pressure protection more than conventional grease, pound out. Conventional synthetic oils, really good synthetic oils, actually bond to one another on a molecular level, so they don't splatter. I had heard this, many years ago, like somebody pouring out some synthetic oil on a plate and then smacking it with a ball-peen hammer, and it wouldn't splatter. And I thought, wow, I never tried it myself, but I thought it was an interesting demonstration of the characteristics of a good synthetic oil. And then I noticed with the pound-out tester that Amsoil has for grease, same is true. The grease does not splatter when it's hit, when it's smacked real hard with a surface like a flat surface of a ball-peen hammer. They have a tester that's built specifically for that, and it doesn't splatter. All the other greases, they splatter. Lucas, Bobcat, Cat, whatever, they all splatter. So yeah, there's a dramatic difference in good synthetic lubricants over other lower quality so-called synthetic blends, synthetics. All the different synthetics on the market have different additives that deal with acid in a combustion engine. Not all the synthetic lubricants have the same additive package. And those are the things that enable a good synthetic lubricant to protect your engine and to maintain its characteristics, its operating characteristics for the extended drain intervals. Like Amsoil has a 25,000 mile oil. That's because they have the extra additives in the oil that enable the oil to do its job for an extended period of time beyond traditional drain intervals. So it's worth, for the couple extra bucks that Amsoil costs, it's really worth putting that in your engine, the peace of mind. There's other things to consider. So how clean they stay, how much cooler they run, the cold flow, the temperatures that they flow at really cold temps, like Amsoil snowmobile oil. Super, super, super clean oil. I just saw a demo recently. They were comparing it to XPS. I guess that's some decent synthetic oil for snowmobiles, two-stroke snowmobiles. And Amsoil clearly ran cleaner than that oil. And it pours down to minus 72 degrees in the winter. So your it's just the best. They don't cut corners, and that's what I believe in, is the best. Thanks for your time, and appreciate your business. Have a great day. Bye-bye.